Welcome to the Passion Project Revolution, where we explore the highs and lows of creating passion projects. Whether it is a book you have a desire to write, a community service you want to create, a charity you want to set up, or sharing your own passions by teaching others how to do it, be inspired by the stories from people who have been there and done it. You know, everyone has at least one passion project, if not more, within them. It's held within their soul energy. And if, after listening to today's podcast, you want to discover what passion projects lie within your soul, then I invite you to download the Soul Creation Collage Workshop for free and start unlocking the potential within you. You'll find the link in the information section. But for now, sit back and enjoy this inspiring installment of the Passion Project Revolution. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Passion Project. And today I am very excited to welcome Joe Jackson, who, it may be obvious, is my son, but also he has many other hats as well. So currently employed as a quality auditor for a very large housing association. He's also a football coach for adults and children in all settings, community and development. But he's here today to talk about his passion project that he set up in Sweden called Passa Vidare. I think I've said it right, which was a football project supporting unaccompanied refugee young people in Sweden. So, Joe, I know it was a bit of a journey for you. Literally, you went out to Sweden, but it was a bit of a journey for you on the time that you first had this idea for the project and to actually setting it up. So can you just share a little bit about when you first had the idea and where did it spring from?
So I guess to paint a picture, at the time, it was probably about 2014, 2015. I was an aspiring football coach. So I was doing my first badges, my first coaching badges with the English FA. I wanted to get into football coaching. That coincided with the Syrian war and the mass kind of media images that we were getting of all the refugees fleeing Syria and kind of traveling across Europe. And I remember, I remember how staggering it was seeing that many people traveling across Europe, and it was quite shocking to witness. But the thing that sparked this idea was it was actually a photo on National Geographic's Instagram account, and it was a picture of these two young refugee boys playing football in front of like a UN tank, I think somewhere in Hungary, and it was kind of, it was a smoggy kind of background with this, ominous tank and these two boys who were fleeing war and just, kind of lost in the moment playing football. And it was quite a bit of a eureka moment for me, because I was, following this refugee crisis, thinking, how can I do something to help? What can I do to help? I wanted to do something. And it just so happened that I saw this image and was like, the idea just sprung on me. Why don't I create a football project for refugee children? I guess in my mind, it was seeing that image. It was like, okay, football kind of translates through all cultures, through all, it's a universal language. And yeah, so I, at the time, luckily I had some connections in Sweden, and I was made aware that they were taking in tens of thousands of young accompanied refugee young people at the time. So yeah, I kind of made the move over there to make it a reality.
Yeah, and I mean, it was so not only did you go with the intention of setting up a brand new project, you were going to a country where you didn't even speak the language.
No, yeah, talk
So
about
that was
throwing myself into the deep end.
part of the experience for you, was having to learn a brand new language, wasn't it? Yeah. So you went out to Sweden, you had to learn how to speak the language, you had a few contacts, which was really amazing. How did you actually manage to translate your idea into actually having a project that was set up and running?
That's a good question. I mean, it all kind of accelerated the moment I put my ideas down onto paper. So it was all in my head, and I had these visions like, I really want to make this happen. It wasn't until actually I wrote my, manifest, and, it was only about 3 or 4 pages, A4 pages, and at the end of it, I put that image of, the picture from National Geographic at the end of it. It was kind of like, yeah, it was kind of my idea slash business proposal. As soon as I did that, it all kind of, yeah, set into play.
So your manifest kind of manifested
Yeah,
the
exactly.
people
Yeah.
and the connections. And I would like to just say that even though you are my son, I didn't coach you through this at the
No,
time.
no, no.
It was something that you did, and I think it was the passion that just drove you to seeing this into actualizing, into actually
Yeah.
happening. So how did you sort of navigate the funding for this project?
So that was luckily taken care of for me. So once I wrote this manifest slash business proposal out through my contacts out there who were in the kind of football coaching industry themselves, they set me up a meeting with the local county FA. They read my proposal, loved it, said that, as far as they're aware, no one else in the county is doing anything like this, and this is amazing and very much needed. They had quite a few, refugee centres dotted around the county, and so they put me in touch with a local grassroots football team called Linköping Kenti. Linköping was the town in Sweden where I was living. So I was introduced to a man called Patrick, and he had a similar idea to me. So we kind of joined forces, loved my idea, said that he wanted to do something very similar. So he employed me as a coach there and applied for the funding through his football club.
Okay.
And I think it was through, it's like a sporting fund. There was a sporting government fund in Sweden, which like kind of, registered charities and sporting clubs could apply for. So he did it through that.
Yeah, brilliant. And so how easy was it for you in terms of, you had this idea, you found someone to collaborate with, you managed to get the funding, and then you were able to just run with the project. How easy was it then to get off the ground? What were some of the hurdles that you found along the way?
I mean, the biggest hurdle at the beginning was getting the bodies through the door and the kids through the door. We did a bit of networking. We printed off some flyers and we advertised it on, kind of Facebook pages and reached out to some of these. So I think there was like a GDPR issue where we weren't allowed to like physically contact the refugee centres for kind of, private, or not privacy reasons, but to protect the kids that were living in these places. We weren't allowed to go and approach them directly. So we did things through contacting schools and colleges and just handing out flyers to, whoever we could or might be in contact with some of these young people. So the biggest challenge was at the start. I think I had one young person come to my session. So it started off with one evening session a week at the football club, football pitch, and it was me and one of my friends who was also a football coach out there. The first few weeks, it was just one person coming. So my vision was having kids run and young people running everywhere playing football, but at the start it was very slow, very hard to get people to come. But I think word of mouth took over after a couple of months. I'd say by about a year into it, I was having to turn kids away and young people away. It was, yeah, there was up to 50 participants every session after about a year or so.
Amazing. How did you manage to negotiate the language barrier? Because of course, your first language is English. You had to learn how to speak Sweden, but then the refugees that were coming to use the project were, they weren't just Syrian refugees, were they?
No. There was it was mainly Syrian, Afghanistan, and Somalia, the three nationalities I
You
was
managed
coaching.
to negotiate the language
Well,
barriers.
it was interesting because I think at the time that I set up the project and it was kind of in flow, I'd been living there for maybe about 6 months. I think it was mostly boys. Most of the boys had also been there kind of, 6 months to a year. So we were actually all on a similar journey with the language. Not many of them spoke English, obviously. I didn't speak Arabic or Somalian, but we were all on our Swedish language kind of journey together. So it was all kind of communicated in what broken Swedish we had learned so far. So we were kind of not only kind of, I was giving a football service, but we were actually practicing our kind of language skills as well. So it was really positive, 2 in 1.
So what was the main aim of setting up the project when you first started?
So the main aim was around integration. It was to kind of give refugee young people the opportunity to join local football teams, to exercise, to have fun. So the aim of the project was to kind of get them on the right track to playing football, and then if they wanted to join teams, my job was to then signpost them to there was lots of local teams in the area, yeah, to get them signed up. So yeah, the main aim was integration.
Yeah. And what sort of success stories do you have to share from this project?
There's quite a few. I'll start with one. There was a Syrian boy. He was about 10 or 11. So at the time, I was coaching a Linköping County under-12s boys football team. So I had this boy who was 10 or 11 from Syria, and he idolized Messi. I don't know if you know Lionel Messi. Maybe
I
some of
don't.
the viewers might know who that is, but he's a very famous footballer. He absolutely idolized this man, and he had all the kind of Barcelona football shirts, and his passion for football and his whole like demeanor. He was such a happy child, and so passionate about football. So I asked him if he wanted to join my boys football team. I think he was a year younger than everyone else, but he had no problem with that, and I got him into my football team. Older boys took him under their wing, and kind of really nurtured him, and yeah, he ended up playing for my team, and he was there for a good few years. So there's that, and then also I made the decision after about just under 3 years of living in Sweden to move back to the UK. When I did, I had a group of Afghanistan boys, about 17 or 18 years old. There was three of them who were helping me run the sessions after a while, like as I explained, it became so big, it was hard, it was too difficult for me to manage alone, like 50, boys running around in a school hall. So I had the help of some of the older guys that were coming to the session. But when I left to come back to the country, they took over the running of the project themselves. So I thought that was a really, positive success story. It kind of
Yeah.
continued in when I left, and I kind of handed it over to the refugees themselves
Brilliant.
to run.
Brilliant. I love that. I love that. So if there is something is there something that you would have, that you kind of know now that you wish you'd known back then that maybe would have helped on your journey?
Necessarily, I can't think of anything. I think my journey, it was all a learning curve.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have done anything differently, to be honest. It was all pretty smooth. Like I said, from the moment I put it on paper and got my intentions out there,
Yeah.
it was just a snowball effect.
Yeah.
So there was not many obstacles really. The only obstacle was getting the word out there. I feel like we did everything we could to get the word out there, and eventually it was just a matter of time,
Yeah.
and then the word spread, and I don't think I would have done anything differently, to be honest. No.
Brilliant, brilliant. So what would be your top tip for someone who's wanting to set up something similar in their area?
Your idea down on paper, because I was sat on that idea in my head for I don't know, a good year and a half. It wasn't at the minute I well, not the minute the moment I put it down on paper was when things actually started to happen. I sent it out and I emailed a few people, and then it was like people read it and were like, wow, this is something that we really believe in. And I got so much help to make it happen from all different areas. So yeah, my main advice was get your idea on paper, get it out there to the people that can help.
Yeah, brilliant. So I know that life's a little bit different for you now because you've moved back to the UK and you're now located in Hertfordshire. And then prior to COVID, you were able to continue coaching in the community as part of the community project, weren't you? But if anyone's listening to this podcast or watching the video is interested in contacting you because they may have some questions about what you did, or maybe, who knows, they might want you to collaborate on a project that they're doing, what's the best way of them contacting you?
I suppose probably LinkedIn, Joe Jackson. I don't know if you want to share a link
I will
somewhere,
share
or
the
if you
link.
can. I don't know how that's possible, but I'm sure you can
It's
figure
very
it out.
easy.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, LinkedIn's the best place to contact me for sure.
Okay, that's brilliant. So, Jo, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story about your passion project from concept to creation. It wasn't easy going to a brand new country, learning a language and setting up a project, but congratulations on what you achieved because it was amazing. I know I'm biased. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Has this podcast sparked an interest to create your own passion project? Remember, everyone has at least one within them, something that they have a strong desire to create or deliver, not always for profit, but for the sheer love of it. Your soul was designed in this way to help you find fulfillment in community energy. Sadly, what happens to many people is they get so caught up in survival, they forget why they chose to become physical in this time and space. But when you discover what passion projects lie within your soul, it triggers a massive uplift and a flow to inspiring energy. Basically, it feels really good and exciting, and you'll feel the momentum to take action, to create your own passion project. So if you're ready to start, have a look at all the ways that I can support you at www.thejanejackson.com. And here's one final thought to leave you with. When you create your own passion project, you are sharing love with the world around you, and that energy of love comes back to you to generate more flows to good energy and ultimate happiness for all.